And welcome back to Fouch and Friends, interviews with your favorite gospel music artist. If it's your first time, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos. This interview features Amber Nelon Kistler of the Nelons. We had a great conversation during this stay at home time. You guys are going to enjoy hearing from Amber and everything that's going on with the Nelons.
What's up, Amber? How are you today?
Hey, Matt, it's good to see your face.
Right? It's like we only see each other right now on social media. That's it, right?
It's so weird. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but God's been good, and we're all, at least from the folks that I have talked to, we're making it through, and God is
Right.
providing. So what has been going on for you guys? I know you're involved in a couple different ministries
Yeah.
with your husband and then the music as well. So how's it been going for you all?
It's been, just like you said, God has been so good, even during this whole crisis period. I mean, of course, just like y'all, our family has been off since March. All of our dates canceled we really don't know. I think July is about the soonest that it picks back up. And you don't even know about July, really.
Right.
Nobody really knows. But on the other side, my husband's ministry has not stopped. He works in Washington, D.C. With a ministry called Hope to the Hill.
Yeah.
And he goes and he prays for members of Congress and the Senate. And even though right now they're not allowing people into the Capitol building there in the city, he has been doing prayer phone calls with members every single week. And so he'll have about 25 members who will get on a call, and each of them pray their own prayer individually on that phone call. So that phone call could last about an hour and a half each week. And it's just a way for these members of Congress, and let me just add, there's Democrats and Republicans both on that phone call. And they're praying for the country. They're praying for us. They're praying for wisdom. And so I love his ministry. I love what he does. I just think it's so unique. There really isn't anything else out there like what he does. And he builds relationships with these people, not to gain anything out of it, but to give them something, which is hope and encouragement. They never get that. Most people, they walk in their office and they say, I want. And Nathan walks in and says, what can I do for you? And so that's been really cool. And when all this pandemic started, they were in the Capitol and they had what they call a skeleton staff, which means they sent pretty much 90% of the staff home from the Capitol, and they kept maybe one or two of their staff in their office when they're used to having 10 to 15 people in there. And so they were running out of supplies, just like all of us were. We had the toilet paper crisis. I'm still confused on that one. I don't know why toilet paper. I mean, we could have just ice and people go buy the milk and bread, but we have a pandemic and it's toilet paper. It makes no sense to me. But they were running out of that. And then, of course, the meat started to go, and they couldn't find hamburger meat or just meat to cook at home. So Nathan and I, we decided that we felt like God had laid it upon our hearts. A lot of these members, they don't have cars in the city because they take the train or they take Ubers and all that stuff. Well, all that was gone when the pandemic started. All their transportation was gone. And so when they go to grocery stores, they have no way of putting something in a trunk to take it back to their house. So Nathan and I got a van that his ministry has, and we loaded up. We stopped at every grocery store from North Carolina to Virginia and just tried to find supplies. We took orders from them. And that was our ministry to them for that week, was just delivering supplies to these members and their staffers. And so that was a really cool moment because it was actually being the hands and feet of Christ. It wasn't just saying, let me pray for you. It was actually going and doing something for people. And probably the people that a lot of people don't want to help right now.
Right. That's awesome. And I know that I've connected with Nathan with his ministry and donated to it in the past. And if folks are here, I mean, we're going to talk about the music and everything, but real quick, give a plug where if folks want to be a part of a ministry that is ministering to those in office, where can they go to connect with that and donate?
Yeah, they can go straight to their Facebook page. It's called Hope to the Hill. And there's actually a donate button on their Facebook page that will actually direct them to the website where they can just go right to it if they felt led to do that. But the most important thing that we treasure is just people's prayers, because what Nathan does is it's not an easy job, because we believe that God is not partisan. We believe he loves all people. And politically speaking, everything is so partisan. Everybody has their views and beliefs. We have our own views and beliefs. And sometimes it's hard for people to lay that down and just look at people as human beings and realize that they all need Jesus at the end of the day. They all need Christ, and they need prayer, and they need wisdom. And, Nathan he's done very well at being that person. And so I've learned a lot just watching him with these people. There's a lot, you watch on the news and people start to gain a hatred for other people because of just their views and their opinions. But they're still children of God. At the end of the day, they're still created by God, just like you and I. And so we're called to love them. That's our calling, is to love on them. And we may not agree, but I don't agree with some Christians either. So we're called to love everybody.
Yeah, that's good. And I love his ministry. And we've been a part of his dad's, I think it was last year for 4th of July. Yeah. We were part of the 4th of July celebration. That was a lot of fun. And really they've got a great ministry. So y'all check them out. What have the Nelons been doing during this time?
Well, the Nelons, even though the singing aspect is on hold as far as concerts go, my parents, they bought a farm, and they are out in Roopville, Georgia. The population is 229 people. They are in the middle of nowhere, and they love it. They absolutely. Now, my mom, who has been raised in the city her whole life, I think this was culture shock, but she has grown to love the cows.
Nice.
And she has tried to name all the cows, which we told her is a very bad idea.
Yeah.
And so the last bull that was born, they named it Bull Gaither. So,
no, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
No.
His name is Bull Gaither, and he's adorable. But they've got Karen Peck Mooch. That's one of the cows.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious. My mom has named these cows, and so they've been working on the farm. They have a wedding venue there, and they've actually had a few weddings that were socially distanced, but they had a lot of weddings that came, and so they've been doing all that. And then for Mother's Day, she got her first horse, and the horse's name is Sugar. Of course, that was the horse's name when we got it for her, but so now she's into riding horses and taking care of them. But we just released our latest single on video. We did a Zoom video because we can't shoot a music video, and it's called If God Pulled Back the Curtain. Love that song. Such a well-written song by Kennel West. And it's just, oh my goodness, it gives me chills when I sing it. Just gives me chills.
So you think Bill will be contacting her to come out and do a video on the farm anytime soon?
Oh, we told Bill about the little bull, and he said, my whole life, I've always wanted to be a bull. It's his pride and joy now. I mean, now that is his namesake. Little Bull Gaither.
That is very odd, but it's awesome. I love it.
So we're that family. We're strange.
So, we were talking a few minutes ago about the ministry that Nathan has, and you're a part of that now. Talk a little bit about married life. I mean, you guys haven't been married that long, and how did the journey go with that? And I did see some photos on social media about a house that you guys did. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we got married in April of last year, 2019, and Nathan is my best friend in the whole world, and we've known each other since we were 13 years old. And his dad, Dave, who you met at his 4th of July event, preached at our church when I was 13. That was the first time I ever met Nathan and his family. And Nathan, if he were telling the story, he would say he's chased me ever since then. And he finally convinced me. That's his story. But, Nathan has always had a special place in my heart because he's so genuine. Anybody that
Yeah.
meets Nathan knows he's a genuine person. He's always kind. I've never, even being married to him for a year, I've seen him get frustrated, but he never gets angry. He's not the kind of person that takes out his anger on anybody or anything. He's very calm and patient. He's not like me at all. Total opposite. I go for the gut. You know, when I get mad, I'm going to go for the gut because I'm competitive and I'm going to win. But Nathan, he's not like that. He's so patient and so loving, and marriage has just been, it's been a lot of fun. And we were talking about this the other day. I said, we had gone through premarital counseling, you know, as most couples do. And we did like 4 months of premarital counseling just to kind of, you know, premarital counseling brings up issues that you don't even think about to talk about before you get married. It talks about finances and your beliefs and, you know, what are you going to do when you raise kids, and all that comes into play when you get married, but you just don't think about it because you're so consumed with wedding planning or getting a house or honeymoon. You know, you're just consumed with all that. So premarital counseling, which I would advise any couple who is planning on getting married to go through that, because it could save your marriage. Honestly, it really would.
That's right.
And we had gone through all that and just talked about how people had warned us, you know, your first year of marriage is going to be the hardest. First year of marriage is the hardest. And honestly, it hasn't been that way for us. And I'm not just saying that because it's, you know, it's an interview. I got to make the world look perfect. It hasn't been that way. And I think because Nathan and I are so raw with each other, we're just real. We don't hide it. We have no secrets. We don't hide how we feel. We're very open. And I think your marriage will only be as hard as you make it. And I think that's where people tend to go wrong. Nathan and I have tried to make life easier for the other person. We've always made it about the other one, not about ourselves. And that's what we were taught, you know, in counseling. And that really helped. It changed my mindset when I stopped thinking about my needs and my wants. And I started thinking about what he needed and what he wanted. And he was doing the same for me. It's amazing when you put God in the center of your marriage, how good it can be. And then we wonder why that works. You know,
right.
It's because God's in the center of it. So it's been wonderful. And, you know, we rented this house that we are living in, and the owners of this house came to us and they said, we want you guys to move in. It's in North Carolina. And we were like, okay, great. We got there and it was very outdated. I mean, it's not your typical first home. You know, it's not like when you walk in, you're like, this is my first home. I walked in and I was like, Nathan, I don't know if I can do this. The whole bathroom was pink. The whole bathroom. And when I say the whole bathroom, I mean the tile, the tub, the sink, and the toilet were all that 60s, 70s, you know, that era where they all had like this painted tile. It was atrocious. And I told Nathan, I was like, we don't own this house. So what do we do? You know, and the guy told us, he said, do whatever you want to do. Cause he had seen some of my designing that I had done in other houses for other people. And he said, whatever you do, I trust you. And I was like, okay. So we painted the tile. Turns out you can paint tile. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
But you can. So we painted that. We've renovated a few things and changed the house. But now our quarantine project, we bought a camper and we renovated an entire camper. I mean, we gutted it out, took everything out. Just, it smelled awful, looked awful. And we have completely renovated it. And this is the last day, actually. Nathan is fixing the trailer as we speak to hook it up to the truck. It's completely done, and it looks like right off the lot compared to what it did when we got it.
That's great. So where are you guys going to go?
Well,
for the first trip?
I'm hearing that Disney is opening up the second week of June. That is what I'm hearing. So if it does, that's our first trip.
So it's not going to go to a campground first, as far as like in Tennessee somewhere. We're not going to Gatlinburg or Smokies for the first trip.
Well,
we're doing
Disney does have a campground. Disney has Fort Wilderness Campground. And I'll tell you, Brian Free knows all about it because every time they go, Brian Free and his family stays at Fort Wilderness. He was the one that told me about it. He said, we take the bus And he said, we don't ever pay for a hotel because you can park the bus. And I mean, you're on a bus all the time. So, you need water, you need sewage, you got to have a dump somewhere. And
That's
so
right.
they have all that. Disney has a campground that has all of that. So Brian goes and he takes his bus. That's where he would park. And it's not expensive at all. It's cheaper than a hotel. So we did that. The Nelons did that in a bus back in January. And Mom, I thought, was going to hate it. Mom is not campground material. She's just not.
But she's farm material now.
Somehow she's farm material, but not campground material. I don't know how that works out, but we took her to Fort Wilderness and she loved it. They give you a little golf cart. You can drive around everywhere, the little campground. It's awesome. So cool. We'll go there, as long as it opens up, and I'm praying it does. I need Mickey to open the kingdom back up so bad because I miss it. Having withdrawals.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like you've had a great last year, and even in this time of stay at home, you're making the best of it. And y'all have put out some new music. You've redone a camper. You remodeled a house, a year and a half ago. You've done a lot of fun stuff. Is there anything over the last couple months that this has been happening that you want to share with the folks to encourage them, that maybe God has spoken to you or that you felt like you've learned?
You know what? I've learned that I think when all of this started, when the crisis started, and I do think it's more of a panicdemic than I think it is a pandemic. Yeah. But when all this started, none of us knew what was about to happen. I've never experienced this. I've heard my grandparents say they've never experienced anything like this. So there was a big question mark and fear in everybody's mind. And of course, in our industry, we've never, ever been home this long in our lives. I mean, we've never been sent home where we've been told that we can't go to church, or we've been told we can't go sing about God anywhere right now because, we can't be that close to people. That is just mind-boggling to me that we are in that state. And so when all of it started, I had a lot of fear. I think our family had a lot of fear. I think all of our friends had a lot of fear because it not only affects us, ministry-wise, but it affects financially. I mean, we don't know how long it's going to go. And I really got alone one day. We were working on the camper. Nathan was gone all day. And I just kind of started to break down. I think it finally hit me. I was like, man, we had been home for about 3 weeks. And I think in the beginning, I thought, this will all be over with in 2 weeks and everything will go back to normal. And then it didn't, and then we were still here. And I was on the camper by myself and I was playing Kirk Franklin's song, the song that says, I know that I can make it. I know that I can stand. No matter what may come my way, my life is in your hands. Mm-hmm. And it hit hard that day. And so I just started asking God, what would you have me do right now? What can I do? And, Lord, what does our future hold? And what's going to happen? And how are we going to plan? How do we provide for our families? And how are we going to survive this? And it was just like God so clearly said, I hold the future. Yeah. I hold everything in the palm of my hands. Why are you asking these questions? You already know the answers. And I just had this overwhelming peace that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a spirit of a sound mind. And I just had this peace that overcame me. And I just knew that everything was going to be okay. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I just knew that it would. And that's how I have tried to live my life day to day. Nathan and I always say, we live our life day to day. Yeah. And we hope and pray and believe that tomorrow's going to be a good day and the next day, but today we're going to live for today. And then when tomorrow comes, we'll live for tomorrow. And that's how we wake up and we live our lives. And so after that, life got a little bit happier. The sun started shining, the weather got warmer, and we've trusted God the whole way. It doesn't mean that I still don't have doubts and questions, because I believe we all do. And I think God's okay with that. I think he likes when we have doubts and questions because it brings us closer to him. It means we have to come back and ask him and actually talk to him. And so Nathan and I we've put everything in the palm of God's hands. We have faith. We have joy. even in the midst of a trial. And that's because of who we believe in, who our hearts belong to. So I would just encourage everyone, no matter where you're at, no matter if you're financially stricken right now, no matter if you are thinking that God has forgotten about you, he hasn't. He knows right where you are. He knows exactly what you need, and he's going to provide because he always does.
That's awesome. I don't think I need to add anything to that. That's good words to close this thing out. Hey, where can they connect with you? And you already told them about Hope to the Hill.
Yeah.
Where can they connect with you and the Nelons?
The Nelons have a Facebook page as well. It's just the Nelons on Facebook. It'll have the little blue check mark if you ever wonder which is the real one. Their website is thenelons.com. I'm also on Facebook. I'm on all social media as Amber Nelon Kistler now, Kistler. And you can find me on any social media under that name.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, Amber. I appreciate it. Tell Nathan we said hello.
I will. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.